Pixar movies whose ending you misunderstood, part 6. If you watched Onward and said that Ian should have been the one to meet his dad, congratulations, you misunderstood the film. When Mr. Lightfoot is materializing as the sun is setting, Barley does offer to distract the dragon, but Ian elects to do it himself. This is partly because Ian is the only magic user there, so he's the only one who could have effectively stopped the dragon. But more importantly, Ian had just had his epiphany about how Barley had been his father figure his whole life. He has that moment when he realizes that his checklists of things to do with his dad are things that he's been doing with his brother, and it was then that he realized that he had been so focused on the family he never had that he was ignoring the family he actually spent his life with. Barley, on the other hand, only had a few memories with his dad, the last one being running away in fear from his father's deathbed and never being able to say goodbye. And Ian didn't know that until this journey, and he realized that that short window of time that their dad was back would be better spent with Barley being able to have closure and properly saying goodbye, rather than Ian having a unfulfilling moment with someone he technically never knew. It wasn't just a sacrifice because he loved his brother. It was more so that meeting his dad for the first time just moments before he'd be gone forever would not be satisfying, especially when he realized that Barley was the dad that he never knew he had. Onward tells a story that is very clearly personal to writer-director Dan Scanlon. He had the same kind of relationship with his brother and dad and based their dynamic off of his life, and it's for that reason that Onward isn't as universally relatable as some of Pixar's other films, which is also why it's not as beloved. But regardless of relatability, it tells a very intimate and human story, which is ironic because there's no humans in the film. Oh, and for all the film bros who point to Onward as Pixar's first box office bomb, might I remind you that it released on March 6, 2020, right when people were starting to quarantine and 2 weeks before all of the theaters shut down. It drives me crazy when people leave out that context when talking about Onward and only base a film's worth based off its box office receipts when it's still a great film nonetheless.